Hey Flosstube, it's Brandon, also known as Ujavi, here with another Flosstube episode for you. Figured I'd come in and start because now March has passed, so March Madness has officially ended. So I figured we could go through all my works in progress, see how far I got on some of them. I am, of course, here with my mug full of whiskey, not hot tea like Jen usually does. And so, actually, April Fools, just thought I'd jump in here, kind of do her intro, make you think like, did I click on the right link? Is this what I really want to watch? So Jen is anxiously here in the wings so I don't ruin her entire YouTube channel. So I'm going to pass things off to her now.
Hey guys, it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. That feels a little more normal, I think. Brandon is going to be hopping back a little bit later and sharing some of his Stitch Madness starts and things like that. He actually got a bunch more accomplished than he thought he did. So he was counting. He's like, I really did, started a lot more of these than I thought. So he's going to come back in a little bit, but I wanted to do a little bit of recap for the week, touch base, see how everybody's doing. Do a little housekeeping on 24 hours of cross stitch because that is Friday. Holy crap, can't believe it's happening again. And I still cannot believe the response. I mean, we have people from all over the world that are going to be stitching with us. So I'm so excited about how that's going to go. I'm so just thrilled that so many people wanted to participate and take part in the insanity. So it is Monday, April 1st. Stitch Madness has officially concluded. I did 31 starts, 31 different projects, 31 different designers, and it was fun. Second year in a row. It was a challenge. I really had some really big starts this year, so something I'm going to be working on for probably a really long time. But um, it was enjoyable. So, other things going on in our world. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone that was thinking about Pandemonium. My little zombie cat, aka Fury, for those of you that are Avengers and Marvel Universe fans, had something going on with her eye, and we took her back to the vet. We are typically not vet people. She's outlived every other cat that we've had in our family and my friends have had and things. So, we didn't want to knock it. But she's been now several times because of whatever was going on. And when we went back, we were like, her eye just still is not still not right. So they were able to give her some steroid shot and more antibiotics, which she hates. They had to sedate her. So bringing her home from the vet, she was like the groggiest mess. And I was just terrified because she couldn't walk straight. She hasn't been sedated since she was fixed. So, she's almost 15. So it's been quite some time. And she was just so confused. And of course, internet's a terrible thing when bad things are happening in your life. So I was Googling things and it's like, my cat never recovered. And we gave it a day. She chilled out upstairs with me away from my animals and just slept for a really long time until she was able to walk like she wasn't a drunken mess. And I think it was the next day. I came downstairs and her eye looked better. And I was like, what, really? Am I making it up? Is it? And no, it's completely better now. So she doesn't have whatever syndrome they thought she might have, which thank God, because there wasn't really anything we could do for that. But the vet assured us that it was not really impeding. She couldn't see out of the eye, but it wasn't really impeding her quality of life. Anyway, this is not a pet video. There's people that don't like cats, so you don't want to hear about mine. So but that was a big part of kind of what was going on, and had a little bit of anxiety. I would time my stitching in the morning before the vet appointments so that I knew that if there was bad news and I was coming home without a cat, I wouldn't have to be like, I still have to stitch, because I am that person. Also, in the world of cross stitching this week, I succumbed and joined Magical Stitches and Literature, and I am mega hooked. I like Harry Potter. I am a Harry Potter fan. I was a teacher in the height of Harry Potter being released. So I kind of had to do my research and know what my kids were reading. Um, so I did. You know, I'm not super super into it. Like I've never done the sorting to figure out what house I was, or I have a Hogwarts t-shirt. That was kind of the extent of it. Um, but this group is so well thought out, and the amount of like effort that the administrator or however whoever's running this puts into making these weekly challenges and homework assignments and is just unbelievable. And that that part of the group appealed to me so much more than the fact that it was Harry Potter. um, it's nice to like have a semi understanding of how things are connecting. But for those of you that are not Harry Potter fans, I think it's worth checking out. Like, and it's I I have by no means lost my stitchy bug. Like I have been stitching pretty much nonstop since the first of the year, but I think it's giving me a different way to think about stitching and different kind of goals to keep me interested in finishing some things. And not even just finishing things, but I have a tendency to sit and only work on one thing, or work on the things that I'm interested in and then not touch them for the other ones for a really long time. And as you can see, that whip wall is like massively massive right now. So I need to make sure that I'm spreading what I'm doing and getting progress on all of them. Or I don't need to. I would like to, because I do have some. So that was last time we talked. I think I said my April plans were going to be spinning the wheel of tiny decisions, which I think I'm still going to do. But I'm not going to only stitch on that thing for the week. I'm going to give myself a little more freedom. And I'm going to, and that's, I think, what I like about the Harry Potter or the magical stitches is they give you a category and then you have to figure out a whip that fits into it. So I can kind of, if I can figure out a connection, which hi, holiday of the month every day in March, that was just what I like making connections. I like finding how I can tie things together. It appeals to me. So it's been fun. I joined on Thursday, and I'm in. Like I waited up till 1 a.m. last night to see what the new homework was, because why not? I have a notebook. like you should be surprised by this, but I have a notebook where like I wrote down all of the challenges, and then yeah, and then these are my like what I think I'll do, and then it can like come off because it's a sticky note, and then I can actually fill in what I use to do the assignment. But see, here's the problem. I did all this and my hand really hurt when I finished because I couldn't just like say I was joining and starting this week. I I had to write all the challenges that there were before, because maybe if I'm bored from stitching, I will go back and do them even though it's not going to get me any points. I don't know. But then I noticed that my notebook is like, it's all crinkled, and that isn't okay in my head. Things that should not surprise you about me. So I might have to recopy into a different notebook. I might have tried 3 notebooks last night and ruined them and won't write on them ever again because of it. So there was that. And I know that there are people that are not into it, and it's just not their thing. So I'm gonna try really hard not to have it like super saturating everything I'm talking about. Like I'm posting my challenges on the Facebook group, but I'm not trying not to like overwhelm my Instagram feed with the challenges, because I don't know, but it's stitching progress and that's what everybody's here to see. So maybe I will. I don't really know why anybody, it's different. It's a different way to have to think to stitch because it's a lot of stitch counting. But I found an app that I like, and it doesn't make it that much more complicated. And really, with the way my head works and the way I like to track things and keep like control how I know how much I'm stitching, I think that's what appeals to me. Is now it's a new way for me to be like, oh, I stitched more today than yesterday. Last year I joined the Stitch from Stash challenge, and I failed. But I liked that, and they have a thing where you earn credit towards your stitching based on, like, it's imaginary credit, but it's based on like the size of what you stitched on. So you take like the, dimensions of your project. If it's, 350 by 200, you would multiply them together, and then they have this whole like formula divided by a certain amount, and then you would get a certain amount of credit based on the size of the piece, which is great. And it gave me a way to kind of calculate what size each project was. And I have all my projects color coded, so I like to know what size I'm thinking it is, but it doesn't take into account all the empty space and if the stitches are the same and things like that. So it didn't quite work for me to calculate it that way. And so it's been interesting to see stitch count and to see how much faster I'm stitching on bigger count things. And I like tracking things. Should not be surprised by this. 24 hours is this Friday, April 5th, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be stitching. I'm going to hop on tomorrow and just give a brief 24 hours only video, because I've been thinking about some things for when we finish, since we're doing some giveaways and whatnot, on how it's going to be best to kind of figure out who participated and who's eligible for giveaways. So keep looking for that, and we'll give some time for people to get that information to me. But one of the things that I realized is it's really hard to track, and when I've got people telling me on Instagram that they're doing this, that are emailing me, that are on Facebook, that are on YouTube. So we're going to have one central place that people will be able to say, yes, I participated and this is how long I stitched for. Again, those of you that are new to this, 24 hours of cross stitch. My mom and I did it in February. We're doing it again in April. We're thinking it might be a bi-monthly thing, if people want to do it with us. If not, that's fine. We had fun the first time. We'll do it again. But what we did was we took 24 hours. We watched 24. And we did the DVDs, so you only had 45 minutes of episode, and then we took like breaks at the end of that episode. But we wouldn't start the next episode until the next hour. So we started at 4 o'clock, ran the first episode till about 4:45, took a little break. I posted pictures of what I worked on and filmed a little blurb of me being excruciatingly tired. Maybe not at 4 o'clock, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, you got me in my prime. So that's what we did. And I started 24 different projects, stitched on a different project every hour, realized just how slow I stitch. My mom worked on projects till they finished. This time, I'm not doing the same. And we are encouraging you to make it work for you. Can't stitch for 24 hours doesn't mean you can't participate. We'd love to have you join in with us. So just it's how much you think you can commit to stitching. If you normally stitch an hour a day and you can stitch an hour a day, great. Like, don't think that it's not enough to be part of this event. Like, we just want people stitching because it's our happy. So I, this time, am going to be starting a year at Hawk-Run Hollow, and I have it here. I'm going to be starting a year at Hawk-Run Hollow. Sorry, I didn't take it out of the bag. But I am not going to be doing it as one giant piece. I'm starting each block individually. So I will be stitching at 4 o'clock. I'm going to start with January, and I'm going to work on this for 2 hours. So 2 episodes worth of work. I'm only going to film a recap video once per block. So the last time I had 24 different little things where you saw me exhausted. This time I'm only going to do 12. And like the start and finish and all that jazz. But I'm going to do, and then I'll move on to February and March and so forth. So they're each going to be, I have a big piece of linen here that I will cut into individual squares. I'm going to be finishing them as flat folds, and I liked Vanna's Calendar Girls, how she has a little basket sitting out. So that's what I'm copying, because who doesn't want to be like Vanna done? So that's going to be my plan for 24 hours. Got some people that I've heard are going to be doing the same thing. I have people that are going to be doing a whip an hour and switching their whips. People have said they are going to kind of mix in new starts. Again, I cannot stress enough, this is what you want it to be. If you're a monogamous stitcher, stitch on the same thing for the full time, or however much time you're stitching with us. If you're not part of the Facebook group, I will link it below. We'd love to have you joining. There's been a whole lot of conversation going on. There's group chat about all things stitching and food and all sorts of goodness. But we have people from all over the world that are participating. There's people in Italy and Indonesia, and like it's just astounding to me how far this has spread. So thank you guys. It's fun, and I'm enjoying it. So that's what's happening this week. Gearing up to it. Since Stitch Madness ended, I am now not bound to only stitching on that certain project a day. So I'm kind of relishing in that freedom a little bit, and like interspersing what I can do for magical stitches and different things like that. But I'm just trying to like enjoy my projects this week, especially since I'm going to have more added in April. And then, seriously, Allison, my mind is like turning. She was like, so I'm starting 50 things in May. Do you want to join me? Do I want to join you? Yes, absolutely. I want to join you. Should I join you? Probably not. Like, look at that wall full of whips. But also look at all those patterns down there that need to be stitched. I think I'm joining, but I think it's going to be very modified. So I'm not going to follow my same Stitch Madness rules. I have some ideas. So thank you, Allison, for my stash that is sitting lonely in baskets. Thanks you, because it wants to be stitched, and I want to stitch it. I do have some haul, because when I realized I was going to do Year at Hawk Run Hollow, I realized I wasn't sure if my piece of fabric was big enough. So made a trip to Craft Gallery and didn't get any more fabric because I realized my piece was big enough, but I had to pick up some more thread, floss, for one of my projects that I knew would not have enough, that I think is in this pile to show today. And so I did pick up a few more of the Animal series, the Animal Stacks by Plum Street. So I now have Cow Pile, Gobble Gobble, no, Gobble Gob, Henpeck, and Snort Stack. I don't know how many there are. I don't know if I have all of them. They're added to my little stash though, and someday will be stitched. I wonder if there will ever be a day that I stitch everything I own. I mean, only if I stop buying things, but I think it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if there's a way to track that. See, this is why Magical Stitches works for me. All I want to do is make spreadsheets and fill notebooks with useless information. So, last week of March Madness. I guess what we'll do is I'll show you what I was working on. And then before we're done, I will bring Brandon back and he will show you what he is working on. And I did think to pull a fully finished project because I realized I didn't show you anything like that last time, but I think it's one I've already showed. Guys, it's been like, there's so much going on in my head right now. I'm trying to keep everything straight. I fail sometimes. Project bag mayhem also, if you notice. I went for the right hand, but then I second guessed myself. All of my projects are now in project bags. And my mom was like, how many did I make you? And so I came downstairs last night and was like, oh, I should count how many project bags I have. Because, like, you know, there's a bunch from Stitch Madness this year. There were all my other ones. All of those whips up there. 74 bags. This is why, like, it's really good that my mom is making them, because I never would have had the funds to purchase 74 bags. Like, I have extra bags. And like, I cut more fabric today. Because why not? Brandon got, I think he has 9 now. He's a little sad, but his are harder to like match I'm having trouble with the coordinating fabrics on his. And then he doesn't always love my choices with the coordinating fabrics. So I've kind of decided that maybe he needs to help. Or he can trust me. And then, I don't know. I trust him with editing, but I don't feel like he trusts me. He's sitting on the couch right now, ignoring me. Okay, Stitch Madness 2019 calendar edition, and found it. Brandon loves it when I lose things because I pretend to be organized. And it's really easy to pretend to be organized when you guys are only seeing this part of my house. Yeah, I'm not that organized. Last time I showed you, I started Prairie Moon on the 4th day of Christmas. I'm doing Brandon's stocking. I have 2, 3, and 4. I believe there are 5. I think last time I didn't know how many there were, but people helped me figure that out. I did a little bit more on this, I think, than what I showed last time, so I pulled it back out. I took everything out of their project bags this time, but I'm going to show you what bags they go in. So I got his name done. I had to add some rows because he has a long name, and but I did. So I'm using DMC, and the color conversion isn't fantastic, but I am going to use DMC for it. So I may sub some colors as I'm going. The lighting down here is really bad too. Things are not, like I noticed one of my bags looked like my St. Patrick's Day bag last week looked blue. It wasn't. So colors aren't always the easiest to tell on here, but got a little bit done on this. It's very sporadic. Like there's a lot of jumping all over the place. So just trying to I spent a lot of time on this start just trying to find my place and figure out where to go next. I might not have been that focused on that stitching day. I feel like I got that much done. It is being held in my Christmas bag. And there's these, and it's got like the Christmas writing in the back. Christmas scene with little gnome Santas. Or maybe just Santas, but they remind me of David the Gnome. David the Gnome? I think if I was wrong, Brandon would have told me. That one was started on the 25th because the 25th is the day Christmas falls. And then there was someone, Laura, Slovak Farm. Is it you? I think you told me a connection, and I didn't write it down. Sorry. I'll link your channel below. The 26th was my parents' anniversary. They've been married for 43 years. So my start for the day, my last name, my maiden name is Barenbaum. It's really long. My mom was a teacher, and so she one year had this little Russian boy that couldn't say that last name. So she became Mrs. B, and so she does bees everywhere. So on this pattern, this is Numero No, number something, I don't know, by Jeanette Douglas. On this pattern, there is a little bee, and there is a heart. So I felt like it was appropriate for my parents' anniversary. So I really like this one. It's very muted colors, so it's just a lot of grays. I'm stitching it on 40 count. The pattern calls for, I think, 32, but I wanted it to be little. And originally I had like a gray fabric that I was going to do it with because it's all very gray. But then you weren't seeing the floss. So I changed it. I don't sub colors a lot, but I will sub fabric all the time. I didn't get my clips out. So I got a little bit done on this one. I'm stitching this on 40 count Wren by Picture This Plus. And I think everything that's there is all the same color. So there's, some back stitching. There's a bunch of different things kind of going on, different stitching elements. Not a whole lot of specialty stitches. Maybe a couple. We'll see how I feel about doing them when I get to it. I had to go out. That was the fabric or the thread I needed. I needed the soot color because I neglected to realize that the entire thing is in it, and I was working with like a little piece that I had left over from something else. This is being held in my bee bag. So it's got hives on the outside, inside, and the bees on the outside. The 27th was National Joe Day, and didn't have any thought about what I was going to do. And then I was like, Joe, coffee, you know, let's do it. So I like coffee. So I started the coffee bean sampler. Ooh, that was a glare. By Heartstring Samplery. My birthstone is the coffee bean. Pretty appropriate for me. And I really, really liked this one. And it went, I was not excited about the border, and there was a lot of color changes going around those little coffee beans, but it went so quickly, and I'm really enjoying working on it. So I'm doing this on a piece of 36 count Old Mill Java. I like Java coffee. It fit pretty appropriately. So I got a lot of the alphabet done on this one. A lot of the letters are repeated, and it freaked me out at first. I was like, I just stitched a C. Why am I doing it again? And I was like, oh, because the pattern's telling me to, so I should follow that. I love the coffee series that Beth Twist is doing. I have a lot of them. It's like appropriate timing since I want a coffee wall. And this is one of my several coffee bags that holds it. The 28th was National Weed Appreciation Day. So I decided to start Luck by Bent Creek. This was a restart because I've had this and I've started it several times on different fabrics and just have never, it's never been right. The first time there was a lot of skipping around and I had too light of a fabric and I can see all my threads through it and I didn't like that. I believe there was another start after that. I've done a lot of the Bent Creek stuff. Not a whole lot of these ones. I know my mom did the married one that I do for Brandon and I, and we have that one. I did Home, the home one that has the house. It was one of the first ones I did home on it. But this start I did on 32 count Legacy by Picture This Plus, which is one of my favorite Picture This Plus colors. I'm using DMC, and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep that color or change it for the background alphabet, but I really like how muted it is because I feel like you're really going to see the luck pop, and I feel like you can see it. Like, it's not like you can't see that that's an A. It just isn't like overwhelmingly standing out, and I'm okay with that. That is in my comical St. Patrick's Day bag. This is a little bit cartoony for me, but there's not a whole lot of St. Patrick's Day fabric out there that I like. And I like that. I like the chevrons. And, you know. The 29th was Smoke and Mirrors Day. And I originally didn't have a holiday for this one. It was the only one that I wasn't really able to find a match for. But Smoke and Mirrors Day, figured it lended itself well to witches. So, Wicked Witch by Lottie Da. I have decided to go with Murky on this one. So I'm stitching it on a 36 count Murky. Again, by Picture This Plus. It was a Picture This Plus week. And this was the first project I had going when I joined Magical Stitches. So I got a whole lot done because it fit into a bunch of categories. So I was able to do some border stitching, got a bunch of that done. I'm normally not a border stitcher, but when I get points for stitching it, I will. So I did a bunch on that. I started doing, we had to stitch with DMC Black, so I'm using this one for that. I have to still finish that. And there was something else. So I did like a lot more on this project than I would have if it was just a Stitch Madness start. Which is why I like this group. I really love it on the Murky. I think Murky might be my favorite fabric to do Halloween on. And it's in my Halloween bag. My mom almost wouldn't make me this bag because it's got a Ouija board on it. But I told her I don't believe in them, so it's okay. She's doing amazing. Like, every day. Like, the other day she made 23 bags. 23 bags. It's crazy. Like, they're like my favorite things now. Opening, it just makes it feel more special. I've gone through this before. If you haven't heard me talk about how I think every project deserves something special, go back and watch my other videos. The 30th was Take a Walk in the Park Day. So I started a sheltering tree. I know Jenny over at Long Dog Long Dog. I don't remember what your YouTube and your if they're the same phrasing at the end. I'll link you below. I know she's stitching this one too, so it was funny. I love when, because I've had these picked out for forever, and it's so funny how I'll pick out my projects and then all of a sudden I won't have seen anyone stitching on something, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll pull this one out, and people won't have been aware of it. And it never fails that all of a sudden people are stitching it before I get to it. I'm like, I swear I had it planned. Or maybe I'm just seeing it that people are doing it and I'm like subconsciously like, I don't know. I did Oh Christmas Tree by them last year for Stitch Madness. So I like to, if I have a series, kind of repeat a little bit and go back and pick that up. Those are my only two by them though. I don't know anything else. So I'll have to see if I can find something more. So this day was a mess because it was Saturday. So I wanted to spend some time with Brandon because he wasn't at work. And I was like, we'll be downstairs. We'll do a puzzle. We'll play games. We'll have this like chill kind of, staycation date day. And then Magical Stitches told me that there was this Christmas break project that you only had until midnight on Saturday to complete. And I'm thinking, well, I'm stitching on this. There's no connection for me to make that Christmas. Not going to happen. And I have a rule with Stitch Madness that I will only work on one project. Nobody made this rule except for me. But I will only work on the project that I start until I finish it. And only if I finish it am I allowed to stitch on something else. So I told Brandon, I told him, I was like, get up early. We're going to have breakfast. We're going to do all this. He gets up early. And I'm like, oh, you can go back to bed. I have to stitch today because I don't know, maybe I can finish this in one day. So I made a stitchy spot downstairs and I sat and I stitched. And he was cool. He's great. I mean, he totally like indulges my whims and my desires. So we put on movies and I think we watched Harry Potter. So those of you that don't know, we do this movie chain game and we started it last year and we picked an actor and I picked a movie that actor in. First actor was Steve Buscemi. I picked Con Air because we picked like those movies that are terrible that we own because everybody loves them, but you don't want to really admit that you love them. But those movies like that you just know when it's on, you're not going to change the channel because it's Con Air. If you don't like Con Air, I'm sorry because that I do. So I picked Steve Buscemi, watched Con Air. So then Brandon took Con Air and had to pick a different actor and chain out of it into a new movie. Then it went back to me. And our stipulations were we had to own the DVD in our collection, which we realized we had sold a lot of our DVDs. And if we were repurchasing DVDs for our collection, we couldn't spend more than $5 on them. So, I mean, that's telling you the quality of movies that we're rebuying. We have chained like 150 movies from Con Air that we own, just going back and forth. You cannot repeat the same actor in a row, and the actor cannot be playing the same character either. So, like, if you're doing Harry Potter, for instance, you can't use Daniel Radcliffe to go into another Harry Potter movie because he's playing the same character. We had one snafu where I chained actually from Harry Potter. We wanted to try to get into Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Yeah? He's not listening to me, so I don't know. I think it was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I knew we had one out of that movie because the person that chooses the movie, you have to make sure that there's an out. We like keep IMDb in business because we're just constantly looking to see what actors might be able to be chained to. And I knew there was one out that would get us into Shrek the Third. And I have a box set of Shrek. So I was like, well, that works. I don't think I've ever seen Shrek the Third, but we'll watch it. And so we did that. So it was like John Cleese, and then I forget who we chained back in. That's Pandemonium because she's all better now. And being a brat, she's really back to herself. She knocked my glasses off the bedside table last night. She might not be allowed to stay in the bedroom anymore. Hold on momentarily. She was the cause of all that noise. This is pandemonium. See those two beautiful eyes? Um, she's feeling much better. So thank you for your thoughts. She does not want to look at the camera. She is not very happy with me right now because I just took her box away. Brandon took her box away, but now she thinks she's getting medicine, so she's angry. She's a good girl. So anyway, so we chained into Shrek to Monty Python, throw in the third disc of this Shrek series that we have, and we're both watching it. I'm thinking these voices are not matching up with the people that IMDb is telling me are in the movie, and we realized that I had a box set and it had Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 and then Shrek 3D, which is apparently different than Shrek the third. So that was our only misplace in the whole movie chain game. But we backtracked and we recapped it. So our number is avoiding that number. So we've done 150 movies. So we realized that I could chain into Harry Potter, which, since I'm curious about the storyline again, since it's been so long since I read the books or seen the movies, I wanted to do that. So we started the day, I think we watched Hot Fuzz first because it was Brandon's pick, but he knew it would get me into Harry Potter. So then we watched Harry Potter and then chained out to, you probably don't care about this at all, but anyway, the way we did it was I was able to chain back into Prisoner of Azkaban, which is the book that they're doing in the whole series now, without negating any of our rules. So we had a Harry Potter movie marathon instead of doing puzzles or anything really together, because I had to stitch all day to see if I could finish this so that I could work on something else later in the day. And then I'm going and I'm thinking, I'm going to run out of thread. And I was using Weeks Dye Works, and I thought it was a limited edition thread, and I'm like, crap, I don't know that I'm going to have enough. But lo and behold, 3,000 and some stitches later that day, I got it finished, and had a whopping 2 strands of thread left. So I have enough to do my initial when I go back to do that. That was a long-winded story. I'm sorry if I lost people during that. This is why I need the clips. Jenny, I should have pulled them out. I really like this piece. Really happy with how it turned out. I like the color that I used. I used a Chris's Bonbon, which apparently is in limited edition, so I knew that I could get more. But I finished it and then was able to move on to one of my old projects that fit the category for magical stitches. So all in all, getting a lot more stitching done than I was before, and I thought I was getting a whole lot done. That was being held in my little Woodland Creatures bag. I love the orange backing for this one. I think it was just a fat quarter, so it kind of came together, because I normally wouldn't I don't like comical, cartoony things unless they're Woodland Creatures. Then yesterday was my last day, and it happened to be high tea, and I don't have a holiday connection for this one other than the fact that I was celebrating the fact that I was done Stitch Madness 2019 and that I wanted to start doing high tea. So I had some drama, because what is Jen's stitching life without some drama? I originally was going to use Confederate Gray to stitch Life After Death. I've never stitched a long dog sampler. I started Death by Cross Stitch and I loved it, but Emily over at Eclectic Possessions ruined it for me and has such fantastic color sense that she's doing all the different motifs in different colors, and I loved it, and I was going to use my grandma's thread, and it was going to be this beautiful memorial to my grandmother. And then I realized I'm not Emily, can't do it. And so I scrapped it, I abandoned it, cut it up and everything. This one right there is a whale. And not only is it a whale, but it's a whale with people inside of it. So, you could go Jonah, because that's what they went to. But I go to Mariner's Revenge by the Decemberists. And favorite song? I will stitch Jonah things too. I like that's a good Bible story. But I have been so excited about stitching this that I knew that it was how I wanted to end Stitch Madness. It's a big one, but it's not as big as Death by Cross Stitch. It's 372 by 325. So I was going to use Confederate Gray by Wigstyle Works 36 count, but I didn't want to have to stitch with 2 strands and specialty thread. So I had picked up a piece of, I was at a sale, I think at Craft Gallery. And it's called Days Gone By Silkweaver. I think it's Silkweaver. And I realized it was going to be a tight fit anyway. But it was the only piece of 40 count I had, and it was the only piece that would be big enough in my stash. I had a piece of like natural, but I really didn't want to just use natural for it. And I had picked up Gentle Art Storm Clouds to do. Really pretty thread colors. And you can't even see, but it's really pretty. Go look at it at your LMS or somewhere that has better lighting than my basement. So I knew it was going to be a really tight fit. So normally I'm a page stitcher, and this has probably like 12 or 15 pages. But it's a big piece. And I trimmed it off, and it was going to be fine. But I'm stitching down the side because I was like, the part that's not going to be okay, that's going to be tight, is the bottom corner. I should just go ahead and do the left border and make sure it's going to fit my fabric. Well, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this serged edge is not straight at all. And so I'm going and I'm like, this is becoming narrower and narrower until like I started with almost 2 inches up here. I have an inch down here. And because I don't really understand fabric, I've been doing all the cutting for our cotton. So I had it all put down. I was like, Mom, I can't do this. When I stitch the bottom, it's going to be crooked and go off the side, the end. So I was miserable. And she assured me that's not how linen works and the threads are straight. So as long as I got down there, because that's the straight edge of the bolt, that I would be okay. I am trusting her. It scares me a little bit, but I can see I did some tests to make sure it was going to go straight down there. So I have enough fabric. I like things framed close anyway, so it'll be okay. But it was just a total bummer that this edge was so crooked. As long as it works, I don't really care. It was a bummer though. It was a little scary, but I got a lot done. It's very long. It's a 40 count. I think I said that. Days Gone By. Silkweaver. It's a really pretty piece of fabric. The modeling is very nice for those of you that like modeling. Those of you that don't, I was one of you people, but now look at all the stuff I stitch. All modeled fabrics. I picked one of my favorite bags for this to go into. It is my Fox bag. Brandon does not like that coordinating fabric. I really do, because I feel like the teals match the teal in the tie and the teals in the glasses. Not the glasses. But yeah, there are teal glasses. Right here. Favorite bag, most excited project. So now I've started high tea. When I finished a sheltering tree, I did go back, had to do some winter Christmas stitches, so I pulled out Winter Cometh by Summer House Stitch Works. Got a little bit more on this one. I'm using the called for DMC. It is 30 count London Mist fabric. I like this. It's different, the whole paneling thing, but I feel like it's appropriate for Game of Thrones happening soon and everything. And that is being held in my Christmas stamps bag. And then today I pulled out a WIP that is probably one of the oldest that I've had going on. Don't know when I started it, but thankfully it's now coming down off my wall. I have 2 French knots that I have to do on it. Let It Snow by Country Needleworks. It was in an episode, or not an episode, it was in an edition of Just Cross Stitch Christmas Ornaments. It's sweet. It's a cute little one. The Let It Snow is supposed to be done in white, but it's you can see the white. It's really probably the wrong backing choice for me to put behind this. But it was very, very hard to see. I need to add 2 French knots, but I was trying upstairs and they were not cooperating, so I gave up. And then that's done, and it can come down off my wood wall. It is in my snowman bag. Not normally a pink person, but lately I feel like I really am. I keep gravitating towards pink. I got this really cool leather traveler's notebook thing that is like a fuchsia. So that's been my stitching. Hold on a second, and my husband will be right back to show you his.
All right, I'm back. So I got confused when she told me we're doing all of March. I got 13 that I stitched on instead of 31. It's a little bit backwards.
But there's it has a connection, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's a connection.
13
So
starts.
13 starts. I had a few more than that. I just didn't get to all of them. I went with the overall theme of just fandom. So particularly things that people are either really passionate about or so they're mostly nerdy. There's 1 or 2 that's not. But generally that has a pretty big following in some form or fashion. In no particular order that I did these in. The first one I have was mini artist galleries of Vincent van Gogh. So it was just a little cute little Van Gogh duder and all his little famous paintings.
He picked up a lot of patterns from Clouds Factory.
Yeah, them and a couple of other Etsy stores like Choco Stitch.
Do you want the backing?
That's folded over, should be okay. I didn't get much done. I got a little bit of his bedroom that he painted for his.
Vincent van Gogh is one of my favorite artists too, which is why
that got picked. But also Van Gogh does have
loves
coloring. Yeah, we'll see.
sometimes.
But then also you can incorporate Doctor Who because there was the really awesome Doctor Who episode that had Van Gogh in it.
I didn't remember that connection.
I do, and that's why my stuff was fandom. This one I do know when I stitched it because I stitched it on Mario Day, which is March 10th. And so it's just, we'll go in our bathroom one day. It's Dr. Mario. Wash your hands. I didn't get much done on him, and I don't know if this will track on this. But I kind of got part of his head done.
We did a lot of stash diving for fabric for Brandon, and then we picked up some stuff from Craft Gallery's Super Bowl sale. So we don't know all of his fabric choices.
Because I don't keep
And
up
he
with-
didn't write them down like I do.
Does it accept floss? Yes, okay, it's fine. After that is Be My Player 2. And
It gets all nice up and close for you. I don't.
This was a lot smaller than I anticipated being at start. And so this fabric I think was from one of your stitchy box.
No, I purchased it, and then I could never get past the little dots on
She
it.
didn't like it, so of course
I gave it to him.
She's like, here,
No,
you
there
do
are
it.
people. I mean, Michelle Bendy just did this great one on there, the Weasley one that she was showing. But the dots.
It is a little awkward to stitch on because the dots are like painted on or printed onto it. So like coming through them with your needle is a little awkward.
I think it's a 32 count. 32 or 36.
It's a something.
But he's doing linen and Ada, so he's doing good.
I don't have a picture from this one because this one was just from spritestitch.com, which used to have a really good forum. And if you kind of do some Google magic, you can still get back to it. That just had pretty much anything 8-bit video game related and some other stuff. So you're not immediately going to be able to tell what this is because it's just a giant green circle. But when all is said and done,
pattern, since it's free.
It is free. So when all is said and done, instead of the Starbucks logo, hence the green,
also a me connection.
It'll say Star Fox, and it'll have Fox McCloud there right in the middle. And it says coffee at the bottom, so it says Star Fox Coffee overall, which I thought would be a neat addition to our coffee wall that will one day exist. And then we have from Star Wars, Twinkle Twinkle Little Death Star. And I got a word. I have Twinkle.
This is some Picture This Plus. I don't remember which one it is, but it's a really cool. I'm going to show it
Okay.
because the dyeing on this is really neat. And we just, when we were looking for stuff for him to use, felt like this was like very galaxy-like, like
Very
spacey.
Very space. And so, and now I do have a couple. I don't have as many bags as Jen, but that one does live in my Porg and R2D2 bag.
I have a Porg bag too.
I didn't get the first Porg bag, by the way. She's like, "Here's your Porg bag, Mom did." She's like, "But I like it, so I'm taking it."
Well, okay, because I had a fat quarter for the inside, and I really liked the inside of it. And I was like, "You don't even like how I pick inside, so."
I don't know why Jen's mom hates me and doesn't make me bags.
Shut up! She does not.
So
She's made 9. It's my fault. He is guilting you, Mom.
I would never do such a thing as saying that you've made Jen way more bags than I do. You're supposed to do things equal with us always.
She is so conscious of that. You should see her at Christmas. It's the funniest thing. Like, she will, to a T, have us even. I'm like, I was your daughter from birth. I can win.
I'm son-in-law. I'm better. Speaking of, it is the right thing to do to make things even with us, which will segue into my next piece, is the helmet from FN 2187 from the most recent Star Wars series, because it is the right thing to do. I did get his entire helmet done.
He got a lot done on this one.
And some of the blood from the dead trooper.
We are watching all of the Avengers movies or all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and so we've been having stitching time. That is a separate movie marathon thing that we do other than our chain game.
We're trying to nail them all in before
what's
Avengers.
Not
Endgame.
Endgame.
So, and that one lives in a kind of Sugar Skull, Day of the Dead kind of Star Wars fabric.
I have one of those too.
And then I have surprise, yes. Then we have Legend of Zelda ABCs. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know what all these are, and I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan. Like, for instance, W, I don't know what that's representing. I know that as magic powder. I don't know why it's under W. Also, the J is, I think, some form of Poe, but I don't know the reference exactly, so there's that.
He has, like, Zelda tattoos.
Not much on it. Just the start of the Hylian shield in the border. I think I was just kind of messing around with this one at work in between phone calls, so we didn't go very far.
Our animals really want to be a part of filming today,
They
guys.
do. That one, of course, is in a Legend of Zelda bag. Mostly, I think, pictures from Minish Cap.
Hey! Do you have to do that?
The next will eventually end up being a gift for a couple friend of ours. They recently had a baby. So this, we found a World of Warcraft birth record pattern because he is a big World of Warcraft player, and it was neat. So this one is just border work so far, just making sure everything will come out.
That's on another
right.
Picture This Plus. Something.
And it had a Murloc on it, kind of, so I don't know. I figured squids. And then some of you may have watched me. I streamed the one day.
He's on Twitch.
I'm on Twitch, and so I streamed a little bit of cross-stitching actually and streamed this. This will eventually just be a Triforce with all the random weapons and stuff from Legend of Zelda.
It's like a tribal, like...
I may just kind of pop in a picture. We'll see how ambitious I get. And that is on a Legend of Zelda fabric as well.
I have one of those too. I'm just playing off of his fandom.
Really?
I don't know. I've stitched Zelda though, so I'm allowed to.
He did the Light World. And then a sampler of Home is where the controller is, which is a bunch of dudes from the original Nintendo, the NES.
Shelby, if you're watching, I bought this pattern for a Christmas present for you to teach you how to cross stitch on our lunch breaks, and
then that never happened. So I'm stitching it. And so, of course, we got Link all the way done. Either Bub or Bob from Bubble Bobble, I don't know which one, and the start of Mario. And that is in my video game bag.
I have one too, but his is cooler.
And then I have a full-on Doctor Who pillow sampler. That one I did not get very far on because I'm new to specialty floss. So this
He's
is
using
actually
two
on
different
a
kinds of weeks dye works for that.
variegated. So I got a little corner started just to kind of see what I was doing and learning to work with just one strand. It's composed of the two I usually do.
I got a text from upstairs and he's like, "Can you come down? I have a cross stitch
I don't know how to
question."
start this. If I can't loop it, if I can't loop it and poke it through, how does the string stay put? And then...
And that was when I realized that if he had excess fabric floss after doing the loop trick, he just got rid of it. Instead of using it further.
It's done. Don't need it.
Learning process.
It's good. It's good. It's just DMC. And then we do have another Doctor Who quotes, probably from one of my favorite episodes with the Weeping Angels and, you know, the Don't Blink.
I think it was the first episode he had me watch.
Probably. I went to start with the TARDIS, and the person who prepped all my flosses did not buy the right colors, so I didn't have colors.
Okay, I didn't prep your flosses.
You did for this one.
Did I?
Yes. So I had to jump down, and I just started working on the words. So I got almost all of Don't Blink in there. And then that as well is in some Doctor Who comics. And then my last thing, I had started before Stitch Madness, so this is more just an excuse to work on it. But it's from the video game Portal. It's kind of like a flash tattoo design. So it's probably the piece I have actually the most worked on just because of how often. So
he did a lot of stitching, and he's like figured out a spot down here. I stole it, but you know that's kind of how he's put up with me for 8 years. He's used to it. You know, so he's been stitching with me, and we're still not sure. He's still talking about what he's going to be doing and how he's going to be participating in 24 hours. Believe he's going to be streaming more on Twitch, and then maybe hooking me in to also be streaming on Twitch. We'll see. It's just, you know,
we'll make it work.
Yeah. So
more than likely they'll be on Twitch, so that way it gives them more instant interaction for those who want it and whatnot.
So yeah, he's been doing a lot, and it's been fun to have him kind of joining in more with it. So especially since we haven't been doing a whole lot of like board gaming and the things that we usually do together, just because of life right now. So I did pull one project before we go. I don't know if I've showed this one before. This is Happy Christmas by Prairie Schooler. I did this on a 16 count Ada, I think, black Ada. It had Merry Christmas up here, and then Prairie Schooler, excuse me, Prairie Schooler italic font. And I wasn't feeling it, so I just subbed in some snowflakes. It is still hanging up in my house, but it did snow on Sunday, so I think it's okay that it's still hanging up right now. I don't know where all my cross stitches. Our storage room is a little bit exploded at the moment because we're doing like 50 hobbies. I had to go when we packed, I had a spreadsheet to move here. I had a spreadsheet and labeled every box with color labeled green if we were going to want it in this house, pink if we were not going to want it in this house, and I don't know, something else, orange for something. I don't remember what orange was, but I have a spreadsheet that tells me what's in each box. And so when we packed our books, I was like, I don't really need to read Harry Potter when I move to my parents' house and we're living there until we find a house. Except now I do because of Magical Stitches. So we had to go and dig that out. And my life, you know. But anyway, that's what's been going on in our world. My world, everything. Stitch Madness is done until next year. May is coming up though, so stay tuned for info on what I'm going to be doing for that. Thanks again, Allison, for making my whip wall too heavy to hang behind me. Like, where am I going to hang another string? I don't know. So that's going to be happening 24 hours this Friday, April 5th into April 6th. If you're joining with us, please make sure to let us know that you're joining. We're so excited to see. If you're on Instagram, please be hashtagging things with hashtag 24 hours of cross stitch. If you're not part of the Facebook group, please join in, and we look forward to stitching with you. I'll be back tomorrow to just give a quick recap on that and fill you in on those goodies. So keep stitching, enjoy what you're doing, and have a great week, guys. Bye.